Okay, we are now in the Shannan prefecture, or as it's known in Tibetan, the area is called Loka, and we're outside of a town called Zedong in the Yarlung Valley, which is generally considered to be the cradle of Tibetan civilization. We're 100 or 150 miles or so east of Lhasa.
Behind me is the Yupalagang Palace, which dates back to the 7th century.
In this area, we find some of the oldest palaces and oldest monasteries in all of Tibet.
Songtsen Gampo is probably one of the kings thought to bring Tibetan Buddhism as a religion here, and he used that palace as a summer palace with his Nepali and Chinese wives.
This is also actually where Buddhism got its foothold in Tibet. The Samye Monastery is nearby, and that's the first Buddhist monastery in all of Tibet.
And today we are going to go look at some of the Tibetan king burial grounds.
There's also a lot of evidence of the Bun religion, which is the religion that predates Buddhism. There's still traces of it in modern-day Tibet, but I guess it's pretty rare. The Yambulagang Palace, which is now a monastery.
Climbed up a hill, and the view here is simply astounding. And I'm scared of heights, and it's just yet another example here in Tibet of how when you're pushed to your limit, you are rewarded so greatly. So we are almost at the top of the Yambulagang Palace, and a little bit out of breath, and as with everything here in Tibet, we're finding it takes a little bit of effort, either long bus rides, out of breath hikes, and then something spectacular is usually right around the corner.
This is the lowest altitude we've been at so far, which is still higher than the highest altitude I've been at before. And talking gets to be a bit of a hassle after a little climb. We did come up from all the way down there though, so give me a little credit.
While we were inside the palace, I had kind of a rare moment for me. I had taken a picture, which we paid for permission to do, and the monks saw my digital camera and came running over to sort of look at all the images I had taken of their palace, and it was kind of an interesting exchange to have them standing so close to me, and I am so very interested in their culture, and it was a nice feeling to have them interested in my little gadget. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing or another bad Western influence coming in here, I don't know. But I was just really touched by their interest and so grateful to have that close proximity to something so neat and interesting here.
This temple had a much more sort of cozy feel. It was very small and dark and very nice inside, and it was really comfortable in there and felt very at ease. And the tiny main room was just filled with little things to look at: statues, drums, prayer books, all kinds of stuff just crammed in there, and I liked it a lot. I think I got some new decorating ideas for my living room, which my roommate's going to be just thrilled about.
To Chandrik Monastery in the Yarlung River Valley. It's actually thought to be one of the Buddhist monasteries that was built during the reign of Songtsen Gampo.
In their mythology, it's one of the monasteries that pins down a giant demoness that covers most of Tibet. And this one in particular pins down her shoulder to the ground so she can't get up and wreak havoc.
When we went into Chandrik Monastery, it felt a lot like a carnival funhouse. Each of the rooms was lit by yak butter candles, and they cast an eerie glow across the statues and Buddha images within. The rooms also had protector deities, and sometimes in the dark room you'd sometimes jump when you finally saw one of those scary faces looking down on you.
My favorite part of the Chandrik Monastery was when we were upstairs. There were a couple of monks actually in a small room, and they were doing their chanting, singing of their prayers. and it was really beautiful to listen to. The Tibetan language is just very nice in general, and then when they're singing, chanting it, they had a really nice rhythmic style, and it was kind of hypnotic. It would be really, really nice, soothing background music. Trandruk's claim to fame is its thangka, which is extremely famous. It's a sort of tapestry art, and the amazing thing about it is it's made out of 29,000 pearls that are woven into a single image.
While we were there, we saw a monk that was making sampa, which is a Tibetan bread product, but he was actually making it in a huge bowl, and thank goodness he didn't have to eat it because he was making it to make statues. The other thing we saw at Chandrak Monastery was gigantic prayer wheels and also a row of small prayer wheels, and it's thought to be good luck if you actually spin those. So Moj and I took a turn at spinning the prayer wheels, and hopefully we will have good luck for the rest of our trip here in Tibet.
After the Chandrak Monastery, we also went down into Chongye Valley to see the burial mounds, one of which we're actually sitting on top of right now. They're so large that I thought it was actually a natural hill, but apparently it's a man-made burial ground. Somewhere underneath me is the remains of Tsongtsen Gampo, one of the very first kings of Tibet.
He actually had two wives, one Chinese and one Nepali, and they were thought to influence his decision. Part of the reason I like this particular burial ground is because it's one of the few places where Tsongtsen Gampo's wives had statues next to himself, so it was cool to see some female imagery here.
We had a very full day today here in Shannon, or Loka, depending on whether you're going for the Chinese or the Tibetan. First we went to Yambalagong Temple, although now it's a monastery, not a temple. And having been to a few different monasteries now, I think that Yambalagong might actually be my favorite that we've seen so far. It had a really cozy, homey feel to it.
One of the things I have learned while here is that there are 5 sects of Tibetan Buddhism, and the Dalai Lama is part of the Yellow sect, and that's only 1 in 5, so there are a good chunk of Tibetans that may or may not be as interested in his political freedom than others. So it's just kind of a different perspective here in Tibet than what I hear stateside, and definitely something worth learning while I was here.